the right block. Gives to Hawkins, straight on, triple, good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The get that out of here's.
Bonner to the basket, rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hello, I'm John Heister for John Heister Chevrolet in Fuquay Arena. And you know, people are asking us, how are you selling so many cars all of a sudden? Well, did you know that the Beltline has opened up the outer loop? We're only 28 minutes from Knightdale. We're only 19 minutes from Clayton and 15 minutes from Apex. We're now the most convenient Chevrolet dealership to reach in the Triangle. And the best part is, you don't have to traverse the inner city traffic. It's just one more reason to get off your keister and come to Heister.
Now at John Heister Chevrolet, get up to $13,000 off with Chevy loyalty on a 2024 Chevrolet Tahoe. Together, let's drive.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, get 3 rooms of carpets clean, starting at $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com.
Whether you're fixing up a room or tackling a full-scale remodel, Habitat for Humanity Restores have a huge selection of high-quality building materials at a fraction of the cost of regular retail, like new and reclaimed flooring and cabinets, tile, doors, and windows, lumber, and more. Come shop our treasure trove of building materials and save big bucks on your next project. Plus, your purchase helps Habitat build homes in our community. Visit Habitat Restores in Durham, Raleigh, Clayton, or go online to learn more at trianglerestores.org.
At the UPS Store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Faceoff matchup is underway, and the gloves are off. Matthew Tkachuk and Brenden Hagel. Hagel from Tampa Bay, Tkachuk from Florida. Did not see this coming. Hagel skated away as he got back up, imploring the crowd to get even more vocally involved if that's possible.
Who knew they needed Michael Buffer at Bell Center? Maybe Bell Center was the right venue for that. They had George St. Pierre at the first game Tuesday night, right? Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is here. Thank you very much for spending some time with us on a President's Day. It is also a holiday in Canada. It is Family Day.
Oh.
In Canada.
That's
so they
sweet.
also have a 3-day weekend, which makes more sense that Finland, Canada, is a 1 o'clock start in Canada. So, yes, it is a holiday there as well. Victoria's here. I'm here. You can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/AdamGoldshow/999 The Fan. Either way, you will find us. George St. Pierre is an old MMA fighter, is he not?
He's a former fighter, yeah. Huge in the league. He's was very successful.
Right, and is French Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there. I forget exactly what he did. They brought out Mario Lemieux on Tuesday night, but George St. Pierre was also there. I don't know if he got people going for the national anthem or something.
I think so, because we got Michelle Kwan. I remember that. She was the one
right.
for us, the U.S., and they got GSP, and I was like, oh, GSP.
Yeah,
great.
so maybe they should have brought GSP out for the start of USA Canada.
They should have. I saw Twitter was talking about, potentially him coming out.
All right, so we're going to talk about that, obviously, very quickly. There were 3 big events last night. There was the NBA All-Star Game, right? And I from what I gathered over the weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend was not well received.
Yeah.
I am not here to criticize it. I think we can spend way too much unnecessary energy trying to fix All-Star games. You can't fix them.
No.
They are unfixable.
Yeah.
Except we had the NBA All-Star Game yesterday. We had the Daytona 500, which apparently the guy who won,
Big Caniac,
whose name escapes me. What's
Brian?
his name?
It's Brian.
Brian.
Oh, man.
Brian.
Let me look.
Back-to-back winner for Brian. Brian has won 2 in a row. And he's a big Caniac. Again,
William Bryan.
William Bryan.
There we go. I knew it was a 2 first namer.
Was it Brian or Byron?
Byron. It might be that too. I knew it was a first. I knew it looked like Brian.
I don't know.
He's a big Caniac. Apparently, he's from Charlotte.
So there you go.
He's been to Canes games.
So two-time
winner.
back-to-back Daytona 500 winner. But they had all sorts of weather, and it ended late. And it was apparently it was a great race.
And he drives Jeff Gordon's old number.
Look at that.
I just didn't
Lightning
know that.
McQueen.
I know.
So no, he wasn't. He wasn't Lightning McQueen. That was Owen Wilson. Anyway, so that was last night.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed both. I was watching the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special.
I missed that too, and apparently I got to watch it. It
So,
sounds like it was super fun.
Yes, you look. Does everybody have to watch it? If you're not an SNL fan necessarily, then you're not missing anything.
Maybe not, yeah.
But if you grew up with it, as I did, and I remember season 1, look, I was not very old, but on Saturday night, I stayed up late and watched TV.
Yeah.
So I watched the Not Ready for Primetime Players, the original cast. I remember watching Chevy Chase, who only did it for 2 years, and Belushi and Aykroyd and Curtin and Radner and Lorraine Newman and Garrett Morris and Bill Murray. Oh, I don't believe it was in season 1. I believe Bill Murray joined in season 2. But it spoke to me. And if you're my age and you grew up watching it, even if you didn't get that, that first run, but if you got the second wave of stars, to the and the sequence escapes me a little bit, but you had the Dana Carvey time, or the Eddie Murphy time, or the Will Ferrell time, or today, and I guess it's all Kenan Thompson time.
It is.
He's been in almost half of the seasons.
He dominates it.
He's an all-time cast member for me.
Yeah.
Kenan Thompson is an all-time cast member for me.
Well, I grew up watching him with all that, so we got ties.
I only know him from now commercials.
Yes,
and he's everywhere, and SNL.
You got to look up some Good Burger stuff.
Okay, I will.
It's funny.
I will absolutely do that. But they opened the show, I thought appropriately, Paul Simon with Sabrina Carpenter, Steve Martin. I mean, he was he was there at the beginning, and he did skits with Dan Aykroyd, the wild and crazy guy. It spoke to me. It was a great, well-done show. Tons of inside jokes within the show.
Very nostalgic.
It was, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, so let me just cut right to Adam Sandler. I've said this before on this program. I am no fan. Don't really dig Adam Sandler comedy. I don't really like the Hanukkah song.
Oh, yeah.
There's only one good line in the Hanukkah song for me, and that is O.J. Simpson, who actually got another reference during the show.
Oh.
Actually, 2 references during the show. O.J. Simpson, ... not a Jew. That's the only line of that song that makes me laugh.
Yeah.
His song, paying homage to 50 years, made me cry.
Oh.
It was awesome.
That good?
It was awesome. So if you're into SNL and you didn't watch last night because of something else, find it.
Yeah.
Find it and watch it. You'll enjoy it.
It's on my to-do list.
You will enjoy it. All right, with that said, let's go. Let it be known that the National Hockey League just might have ruined the National Basketball Association this weekend.
100% did.
I'm not the league itself probably isn't ahead of the NBA in overall interest, but this weekend,
oh my goodness.
Oh boy, 4.5 million people watched USA Canada Saturday night on ABC. 4.5 million people watched it. In the grand scheme of things, it ain't a football number. We ain't talking about football. That is a huge number. The NHL is thrilled. Four Nations Faceoff is the way, and you can't do it every year. There's no way you can pull this off every year, I promise you. But the Four Nations Faceoff was a great way to celebrate All-Star Weekend, if you will, even though it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be a total of 9 days, starting Tuesday, ending Thursday. That's a long run, but a tremendous way because the hockey was real.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was intense.
Saturday night shocked me. We played the highlight of that was Matthew Tkachuk versus Brenden Hagel, right? So that happened at the faceoff. They dropped the puck again. Brady Tkachuk,
now he's in it,
went with Sam Bennett. Now remember, Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, they did not fight each other, but they're teammates.
Right.
Brady Tkachuk for Ottawa, Sam Bennett for Florida. They went at it. They go to the box. 9 seconds after a shot on goal, JT Miller and Colton Parayko square off. 3 fights in 9 seconds. We have John Cooper, the coach of Canada,
yes,
talking about it afterwards.
I have no idea what the TV ratings were, but the audience had to be vast, and I think it had a combination of everything. And the naysayers, you can say whatever you want about fighting. That was what ignited the game. And then when both teams flexed and nobody backed down, then a hockey game broke out, and it was a fantastic hockey game. And I said it last night, when you get the best players in the world, not only trying to score, but actually checking, and this is what you get. And so you're holding your breath every time there's a potential scoring chance because you don't know if it's going to be the last one. And I thought the game is in a better place because last night's game existed. The only thing that I was disappointed that we weren't on the right end of it, but the characters, the personalities on both teams, I think really came to the forefront, and it's why we love this game. And it's a pretty brilliant game of speed, grace, and toughness and swag, and all those things combined in one, and it can bring 22,000 people to a frenzy. And it was phenomenal to be a part of.
It was an amazing hockey game.
Yes.
So, aside from the 3 fights that started the game, it was physical. There were Connor McDavid made a move for a goal that you just go, okay, he's an alien.
Yep, that's McDavid.
There's nobody else on earth that can do that.
No.
0 people not named Connor McDavid, including Nathan McKinnon, who, by the way, was completely neutralized. And really, so was McDavid by guess who? Jacob Slavin.
Love it.
He was the best player in the game.
Absolutely.
He wasn't one of the 3 stars, and I'm not saying this because we love Jacob Slavin. If you watched the game, you went, oh, that's why Nathan McKinnon isn't doing anything, because he keeps trying to go wide on Slavin, and Slavin ain't letting him go.
Yeah, he's an unsung hero.
He was the best player in the game.
Absolutely.
I thought my 3 stars for the game were Charlie McAvoy for Boston, I think was awesome. Physical, nasty, borderline dirty, but great. Dylan Larkin, who I know he had the goal that made it 2.
Right.
Right? Which was kind of a soft goal to allow, I thought. But I thought he also was noticeable beyond that, and Slavin was the best player in the game.
Oh, yeah.
No offense to Connor Hellebuck. He didn't have a lot to do.
No.
There weren't a ton of great scoring chances for Canada because Slavin and Brock Faber from Minnesota, they were amazing together. Slavin he's +5.
Oh, wow.
2 games. He's +5.
Oh, wow. He did get some kudos. I was glad that they at least talked about him and, mentioned.
Ray Ferraro was all about Slavin. And Sean McDonough also mentioned it. It's great. It's like,
love it.
now just stay healthy for the next 2 games.
Yes, please.
All right. By the way, it looks like Seth Jarvis may not play today for Canada, and they play at 1 o'clock. And I think that's a mistake on Canada's part, but I'm okay with it because the number one thing I want is Jarvis here.
Yes.
Saturday when Carolina plays in Toronto. I want him back here so they can get to Toronto for Saturday and him healthy. I'm not saying he's not going to be healthy, but the fewer live bullets he has to deal with, the better. And look, we're going to see the winner today. Canada-Finland today. Regulation win by either side.
Yeah.
And they play the United States Thursday night. Canada, whatever, if somebody wins in regulation, if Canada beats Finland, it's USA-Canada Part 2. If Finland wins in regulation, it's USA-Finland Part 2, which was a really good game Wednesday night that ultimately the United States won by a lot, but it was not nearly that big a blowout.
I can't believe the game starts at 1 today. That's so disappointing.
We got a 1 and an 8, just like we had Saturday.
Right.
A 1 and an 8, just like that. All right. Real quick, all good results for Tobacco Road. We're going to get back to this, to the hockey, because Sarah Civian is going to join us in just a couple of minutes. All good results for Tobacco Road men's hoops in the ACC this weekend. Wake picked up the big win at SMU they had to have. Carolina won at Syracuse, though I was a little disappointed in their defending late. But again, they have some issues defending, but they made some plays down the stretch. Got a couple of breaks, whatever. They're better than Syracuse. They should win that game. State thumped Boston College, still with work to do. We talked about how, and they know it, by the way. They know what they have to do to make the ACC tournament. And Duke thoroughly dismantled Stanford. That game was tight for about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
ran away with it.
Okay. Yeah. It was one of those, we're going to name our final score today. And by the way, Duke plays today against Virginia in Charlottesville, and UVA's playing much better. They have won 3 in a row. Like they're not an NCAA tournament team. But this game has a little bit of jeopardy for Duke in it, simply because Virginia is playing well, and they can be, it's not the same, they can be a difficult team to play. I think Duke ultimately wins this game, probably comfortably, but it's not a complete throwaway. They're going to have to play well to win. But real quick, before we get to Sarah Civian, incredible basketball game yesterday at Carmichael. So the seesaw for this game was massive. State and Carolina, women's ball, State led by, I think, 7 at the end of the first quarter, and then I think they scored 4 points in the second quarter, whatever it was. Carolina came all the way back. Then State did that to Carolina, and with 6 minutes to go, with under 2.5 minutes to go, you'll understand where the number 6 comes from. With under 2.5 minutes to go, Wolfpack had the ball and a 6-point lead, and they did not win. And that's nobody's fault other than Carolina outplayed them. State didn't defend well enough. Carolina rallied to win. Laney Grant scored 4 straight points, including the go-ahead layup. And while State had a chance to win it, maybe get to the free throw line at the buzzer, Isaiah James was not fouled. She turned it over. Well, there was contact. Was there a foul? Probably. But there wasn't that much contact. State fans are making it out to be like, oh, she was hammered across the face with a 2x4. And Carolina fans, great defense. Yeah, it was somewhere in between. And I'm okay with not having a foul called there, to be honest, because if you dissect why Carolina won, it's really because State didn't manage a 6-point lead and the ball with under 2.5 to go. I mean, it's just that simple, right? They didn't get stops. If you play better defensively, you're okay. But they didn't. Carolina, full marks. Full marks for a great win and a great atmosphere as well. All right, speaking of great atmosphere, I don't know if you watched, great, you understand. If you didn't watch,
you missed out.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, there was a lot of things to do for all sports fans this weekend. So I go to my friend Sarah Civian from the Too Many Men podcast with Allison Lucan and Shayna Goldberg and the Civ Report on Substack. I need to know the buzz. You could feel it through the television, but take me inside Bell Center in Montreal because that had to be off the charts.
Oh my goodness, I'm in town in Boston right now hearing people talk about it. It's like unanimously people are saying that's the best event they've been to as a fan, and even the players are saying it's one of the best games they've ever played in. So can't get much better than that, can you?
No, the players were looking forward to it for a long time. The Civ Report is the Substack. You got to go get that. Sarah not only writes about hockey, but life as well. So then, of course, they drop the puck, and we get 2 Kachucks and a JT Miller fight in 9 seconds of game action. Did anybody what were the comments on press row for when we saw this?
Just kind of, oh my God, the Bash brothers, right? You got Brady and Matt.
Right.
And of course, JT Miller getting in the mix. I think it's hilarious that they had a group chat. They planned that out and they didn't tell anybody.
That is just incredible. How did that permeate? How did that sit with everybody? Everybody was cool with it except maybe the coaches involved. Paul Maurice might not have been happy about it.
Yes, I think we were talking to Jacob Slavin yesterday, and he was like, they didn't tell the Lady Bing winner about that one. It's like everybody maybe thought it might happen, but to actually have it planned out and executed like that, it was just kind of like, all right, best and best hockey's back. Canada USA for the first time in a decade. Like, this is what it really means.
Sarah Civian is joining us here. She's in Boston. Now it's a home game for her, but was in Montreal on Saturday. But the atmosphere was good for Finland, Sweden, too, right?
It is. It's just kind of like, oh, my gosh, we got to do this more often. That's kind of what the coaches are saying. That's their takeaway. Like, every team, you cannot disrespect. Obviously, Sweden's on the board, and anything could still happen today. There's implications where, obviously, the U.S. has punched their ticket to the championship game, but there's still a few ways this could go. So it's kind of like, I know Finland's been depleted with their defense, but it's still some of the best hockey players in the world.
Yeah, and they did manage to get a win, and if they happen to win in regulation today against Canada, it's Finland and the United States in the championship match, and that would be great, except that Rod Brindamore wouldn't get Sebastian Aho and Mikko Rantanen back probably until Sunday. But look, those are first world problems. I didn't realize there was a Swedish choir of Montreal. I found that out on Saturday afternoon. And I know Canada and Finland go at 1 o'clock today, so I want to let you get to what you need to do in a second. Were you surprised going in? Because I was. I talked about it with John Forsland and Trip Tracy and people you know, and we thought this would be a lot more all-star game-ish, not quite all-star game level lack of intensity and hit and giggle, but I didn't think it would have the physicality. But from game one, I thought this has been real hockey.
I'm going to tell you, Sidney Crosby cares about it. We all care about it. You know what I mean? Like, in sports, we assign meaning to what we want to assign meaning to. And I think Sidney Crosby decided, I'm going to play. And everybody kind of got in line, like, all right, I'm going to care about this. And now we've got, it's also implications for the Olympics in a few years. Like, people are looking at this saying, okay, who's going to be on U.S.'s roster come the Olympics? And, like, they're starting to formulate coaches and teams and things of that nature. So it does have implications beyond this mini tournament.
It does, by the way. It's a year from now. We're going to be in Italy for the Olympics in Milan. Although I guess there was some talk that the hockey could be in the United States. I don't know. There's all sorts of weird permeations of this or whatever. I just made up a word that's beautiful on statewide radio. Sarah Civian is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. The Tkachuk brothers certainly will be on that team, but I want to ask, you already mentioned Jacob Slavin.
Yeah.
Jacob Slavin looked to me like he put on a Jacob Slavin masterclass on Saturday night, led the United States blue line in ice time, probably deflections with his stick. He was a +3. He did everything. He even delivered a check to Seth Jarvis, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, gotta love it. Jacob Slavin really is the difference between the U.S. and every other team. If you think about it, like the strength of U.S.'s defense starts with Jacob Slavin, and that's the strength of the entire team. I mean, obviously Connor Hellebuyck, you can't hate him,
right?
But Slavin, the shutdown with him and Brock Faber has been one of the best parts of this entire tournament.
He was tremendous, and it's funny. I get it. We give the stars of the game always go to the goal scorer, so I get Jake Gensel. He had the goal that tied it. He had the empty net goal. For my money, Slavin was the best player. I thought Dylan Larkin was awesome in the game, and the fact that a lot of American players and Canadian players too, by the way, have accepted roles. It's been amazing. We know there's tiers within stars, right? There's the McDavids and the McKinnons, those stars, and then there's the other stars, and everybody seems to have accepted where they get slotted.
That's a great point, and kind of how it takes from me, like watching Canada. I think McKinnon's trying too hard to be Nathan McKinnon, where you have the U.S. players kind of, all right, I'm Brad Marchand's on Canada, but he's a good example of a role player too. But I think McKinnon's doing a little too much. You got Canada stars thinking they might have to do a little too much, where you got nothing. Our good Americans, but I do think that's been a recipe for success.
All right. Well, final thing, and this is sort of meant as a joke. I think I'm saying that not for you, but for everybody else. Without the booing of the U.S. national anthem, where will the Americans find motivation on Thursday?
Oh, I'm sure it'll.
I apologize for everybody.
It'll come up. We'll find something to boo. There's going to be something to boo, and everybody will boo it. So perfect. The boos will be out.
Oh yeah. My advice would be, if it's Canada, cheer heavily for "O Canada," so as to not give the Canadians any added motivation to win a hockey game.
That's what it's all about.
Unbelievable. Sarah Civian, the Civ Report is the Substack. I thank you so much. Enjoy the game today, and I will talk to you very soon.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Unbelievable game. Unbelievable atmosphere. You could feel it. 22,000 people at Bell Center. Just awesome. It's going to be great. Now, tonight won't have the same intensity. The United States is already booked to Thursday. But we all want USA-Canada Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
We all want it.
Who doesn't?
So, but Saturday night, man, was box office.
Oh, my gosh. It was so good.
Absolute box office. Yes, it was tremendous. And it didn't need the fights, but the fights set the tone for how the game was going to be played, because that was a very physical first period.
Mm-hmm.
Did not expect that at all.
Oh.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back. Will Brinson's going to join us. So a week ago, we talked about the Super Bowl, the game itself, blah, 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 MVP, all that kind of stuff. Now, a week removed, let's look at the two teams going forward. Who's better positioned to get back? And then we'll talk about 3 quarterbacks that will all be with different teams next year for the most part. Next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
It's time for the Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month.
Hello, Creighton Blackwell here from Coastal Credit Union and 99.9 The Fan. Tonight we are at Green Level High School, and we're here to celebrate the newest Scholar Athlete of the Month, Lexi Taylor.
My family is definitely like my biggest support through everything. My sister and my parents both support me through my hardest days and my best days, and they're always there to support me.
Lexi's a phenomenal athlete, comfortable with whatever you ask her to do. She's strong, she's poised, she doesn't get flustered easily.
And she's just like grown up so much as like a captain and a teammate, and she's been a captain now for 2 years, and I really just think she's been like such a great help to our team.
Well, I've been cheering with her since 7th grade, and we're seniors now, so I've kind of like watched Lexi like grow up, I feel like, and she's like done the same with me. So I've like seen her like step into a leadership role, and I feel like she's just always super encouraging and keeps a positive attitude.
It means a lot to me to just be able to be recognized in such like a wide area with so many amazing athletes. So I just feel great to like feel like someone's like seeing all the hard work that I've been putting into my sport and my academics. So I'm very grateful for it.
Congratulations, Lexi.
For over 20 years, 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union have been recognizing scholar athletes at Triangle area schools. If you'd like to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Progressive presents a testimonial of sorts.
Hey, slow down!
Oh yeah? Well, you drive like my grandma. She's a very attentive and courteous driver who wears a seatbelt and always uses her turn signals. She's also a talented painter and has very low cholesterol. Not that that has anything to do with her drive. We just thought a more complete picture of who she is might be interesting. Anyway, have a nice day.
Safe driver? Get Snapshot from Progressive and get a personalized rate based on how you drive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
All right, the Super Bowl is over. I don't know if how many people know this. The Chiefs are not coming back to win. I know there were a lot of people holding out hope. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, 1 week removed from the game, which obviously we covered extensively 7 days ago. I thought it would be cool to kind of dig into these two teams because they're the two betting favorites to come back and run this for the third time in 4 seasons. And whether we believe it or not, am I crazy? But the Eagles have almost $25 million of cap space right now, although there are some, Josh Sweat could opt out, and I believe Zach Bond, and probably should opt out of his contract. So there are some things for them to do, but they've got cap room.
Yeah, and they have a lot of young talent, too. We talked about it last week, but you lose, maybe a blind spot for me when it comes to football is, the fact that Philly lost Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, and I thought that would impact them more. They're going to lose Kellen Moore. Obviously, they lost Kellen Moore, who's going to the Saints. They can figure out how to run the offense. Kellen Moore did a great job, particularly in the playoffs. But I think that that's one of those cases where the playoff run really helped boost him in terms of how people view him publicly. He did let go by the Cowboys and the Chargers in back-to-back years. Vic Fangio is coming back. The Eagles are going to be good next year. They're going to Saquon. If he has the same season he had this past year, I think that would be pretty shocking. There's probably a good chance he regresses a little bit, but I still expect a monster season from Saquon behind that offensive line that is going to be intact for a while. Lane Johnson probably getting up there in terms of probably time to start asking the question about when he's going to retire. But right. I fully expect him to be back next year. They replaced Kelsey. It's a great offensive line. They have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside. Dallas Goedert, they'll have to find another tight end eventually, but he's still operating at a high level. And then Hurts is kind of a perfect fit for that offense because of his leadership qualities, his ability to throw down the field when he needs to, and then, the tush-push stuff. So that offense is going to be what it was, which is, efficient on the ground and a dangerous running attack with the ability to explode in the pass game. And then it looks like the defense is just awesome now. I mean, that's the difference maker where, Jalen Carter is going to be an annual candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. If they bring back Sweat and Bond, I think they'll try to, but Howie Roseman showed an ability to find, ways to replace guys on that defense in free agency when he needs to. And, you see it 7 years removed from their last title, they sort of rebuilt the roster in a way that, if you're going to say, the Chiefs are the dynasty that's live, even though they lost, the Super Bowl. If you're going to pick a team that's more likely to repeat, I think I would absolutely take the Eagles over the Chiefs. One, because of the roster, and then two, because the NFC just profiles as easier to navigate than the AFC.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of reasons why you'd certainly think the Eagles are the best chance in a while to repeat, even without having. And I am in no way trying to slight Jalen Hurts. I just refuse based on winning a Super Bowl, and I think he's excellent. I know how people will perceive this. I do not think he is not an outstanding quarterback, but he's not a Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, who can absolutely do it on their own. And granted, Hurts has the Super Bowl that Allen and Jackson don't have. So part of that is...
Pete Prisco went on CBS Sports HQ this past weekend, and said he would take Trevor Lawrence over Jalen Hurts for the next
silly.
5 years. And, buddy, it went over like you wouldn't expect.
Silly.
We were dragging him on text messages.
Yeah, you should.
It's like they put it on Instagram. He's getting killed for it. And but I think it sort of speaks to the way that the way that you're talking about Hurts. And I'm not saying you're saying that, but just he is a really good quarterback for what he is. But I don't know that he's necessarily like this complete upper echelon quarterback, even though he did just win Super Bowl MVP.
Right. Look, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. I really don't want to drag this segment into that conversation, but He is clearly a top 10 quarterback in the league. He's probably higher than that. He's probably like a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the league. But the Eagles' offense is perfect for what he does. And because of that offense, his ability to run, he is a very good, not great distributor of the ball, but a very good one, and he's smart. The leadership qualities, all of that speaks to he is, especially with players around him, he is well suited to bring them back. Like they could make a decision. They don't even have to bring back Josh Sweat if they don't want to. Now, he was awesome in the Super Bowl, and you could have made the argument that he was the MVP over Jalen Hurts. But if he wants a ton of money, they're going to have to pay Zach Bond. I mean, maybe Bryce Huff has something next year because they signed him to a big free agent contract last offseason. That one didn't work out. A lot of the other stuff that they did work. Let me go to the Chiefs. Travis Kelce back because that's a pretty big cap savings if you cut Travis Kelce.
I was going to say it's a pretty big matzo ball hanging out there.
I mean, it's like $17 million in cap savings, and they need help on their offensive line, and they could use another. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins wasn't great. Juju Smith-Schuster wasn't great. They could really use a top wide receiver.
Yeah, so the thing with the Chiefs, specifically on Kelce, I mean, I don't know if you watched or listened to New Heights, like his podcast. I'm sure you heard. But listen to that, and it was the Tuesday after the Super Bowl, I think, maybe even the Tuesday after the Super Bowl, and I mean, my thought was this guy is retiring.
Right.
Just listening to him. Now that's 48 hours removed from a devastating loss. He said it was the most confident he's ever been heading into a Super Bowl. He's played in a lot of them. They really believed they were going to win. I think a lot of us believed the Chiefs were going to win.
Sure.
And he just the other thing too is something he said. And I wrote about this for CBSSports.com, but something he said made me look it up, and I was really stunned. He has played 19 extra games since 2020. So if you're an NFL player who played 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, you can play a max of whatever, do the math on 16 and they switch to 17 for 3 years, whatever it is. He's played an extra 19 games. So that is a ton of football to tack on if you're his age. And he pointed out that it's not even the actual games; it's more like being in the building and grinding on game plans and grinding to be ready and just the grind. He made it seem like it's not as much fun for him anymore. And he's dating Taylor Swift. He's he can host SNL, whatever. He's got this podcast.
Yeah.
He's got literally. He can get $10 million a year from a network to be an analyst. And so I think that the pull of all this other stuff, coupled with just being so worn out from playing essentially an extra season inside of 5 seasons or 4 seasons, whatever it is, just has him at the point where he probably walks away. But we also see guys all the time who look like they're going to do that, and then you get a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a month or so removed from that game, and you're like, all right, no, I want to run it back one more time. I do think he thought they were going to win. He thought they were going to three-peat, and he was going to walk off on a three-peat, which would be a heck of a way to go. But this wouldn't be all that bad either.
No,
And by the way, Rashee Rice, he suffered that ACL injury mid-season, so he should be good to go. Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy is a pretty good starting point, but I agree they need an outside guy just to kind of diversify what they do, a big body, like DeAndre Hopkins, but in his prime and not, washed.
Yeah, and I also think that an objective look at Travis Kelce says that he's not the same player. He's certainly good in spots, but he's not the same player.
It is bad. It is bad.
Yeah, but I don't really think that was on him. I thought that was on Mahomes and really the Eagles' pass rush creating all those things. But throughout the course of the season, Travis Kelce was not that productive of a player. And
he turned it on a little bit at the start of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Had the big game against Houston, and then you sort of thought he was just going to have this big Super Bowl, and he just did not.
No.
Which is, I mean, I think it's entirely possible he's just hitting a wall, and he's like, dude, this is just, it's just too much. And if he's Mahomes, a lot of these guys have played these extra games, but he is. I mean, he's up there in age.
No question about it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs made the decision. If he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs made that decision because they do need some cap room, although you can find cap room anywhere. They can just restructure Mahomes probably and find some cap space. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. He sorts the Sunday pile. Let's sort with 3 quarterbacks, and then we'll head out here. Aaron Rodgers was told by the Jets to go pound sand. My guess is that he balked at the things that they told him. If you want to be part of this, no McAfee, have to be part of all of our offseason training regimen and all those things. And he wasn't willing to do that. The Jets probably knew he wouldn't be willing to do that. So they basically put the onus back on Rodgers. Where does he end up?
I think he probably ends up. So I'm torn here. I think the Steelers make a ton of sense from a roster perspective. If you think Rodgers still has something left in the tank, and we saw Favre leave the Jets and certainly have success in Minnesota, which is the other spot I think that Rodgers should at least consider if they're interested. Because if you got Minnesota, to me is perfect because they had Sam Darnold. He was great last year, probably a top 5 MVP candidate, resurgent season, going to get paid by somebody. But you also drafted J.J. McCarthy, and if you're going to you can't really pay Darnold this huge deal and then also want to go to McCarthy. But you could pay Rodgers on a 1-year deal and have the option to let McCarthy kind of sit, and I'm not saying like sit and learn behind Aaron Rodgers, whatever it is, but he had a setback during the season on that preseason injury he suffered, and so you just can't know right now if he's going to be ready to start the year. Rushing a guy who's never played in a regular season NFL snap to me feels risky as heck. I would much rather go sign Rodgers for a year, see how he does in that KOC system. I think he'll be great because all quarterbacks are great with Kevin O'Connell.
Right.
And then you have McCarthy there as a backup if Rodgers is completely washed or, gets hurt. So, that to me is a really nice pairing. Plus you get the whole, literally following the exact path as his predecessor, Brett Favre, which would just be very, very, delightfully NFC North Schadenfreude.
I can't wait till the stories about wearing Crocs comes out. All right.
Lord.
Is Matthew Stafford back with the Rams, or is he somewhere else?
They signed his brother-in-law to the Giants, hired his brother-in-law, which I think is kind of interesting. Kelly Stafford, his wife, is out in these social media streets acting like it is over. And the Cooper Kupp thing, I just think really hit hard for Stafford and the realization of what they're going to be. If you're the Rams, I am currently, I know we're on the phone, but I'm currently wearing a Matthew Stafford Cooper Kupp homage in NFL Jam shirt, a Rams Stafford's my guy. I'm a Rams fan because of Stafford. I'll probably root for whatever team he goes to next, but it does feel like letting go of Cooper Kupp, and they were the most 3 wide receiver heavy team in the NFL last year. Now you have Demarcus Robinson, who's a free agent. They're going to trade Kupp. Tutu Atwell's a free agent, so it's basically. You have Puka Nacua, who's fantastic, but then Jordan Whittington, who's pretty good as a rookie and I think underrated and will be a good player, but you just don't have a ton of stuff for that offense that they want to run, and it sort of feels like, and it's crazy too because they're really close to beating the Eagles who won the Super Bowl.
Right.
But it sort of feels like maybe the Rams are headed for a reboot. So I'll say the Giants, but with zero confidence whatsoever.
And Sam Darnold goes where?
Who wants to give Sam Darnold $40 million a year without having Kevin O'Connell on your staff? Man, I don't know.
New Orleans?
Yeah, New Orleans can make some sense, I guess. I mean, I feel like Kellen Moore was kind of in on Derek Carr. And by the way, they played each other in college, which is insanely weird.
That is strange.
Kellen Moore destroyed Derek Carr in college, 57-17 or something like that. Boise beat Fresno. But, New Orleans. New Orleans is kind of cap-strapped. God, I don't know. I think it's tough to pinpoint where Darnold goes because you're all these teams in the top of the draft all the quarterback needy teams are up top. I'll say the Raiders for Sam Darnold. I'll say the Raiders.
Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. I appreciate your time. We sort the Sunday pile, even on Mondays. We will chat again, sir.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon, man.
If I was going to handicap it, I would say that Aaron Rodgers doesn't play.
Yeah, it's looking like that.
I think there's more of a chance that he doesn't play than he does. But Minnesota is an interesting spot.
Yeah.
I just don't think that.
He might have a full-time gig with Pat McAfee now. That might be his next gig.
He doesn't need a full-time gig, but he can go on talk football every Tuesday.
In his car.
Yeah. Or from his dark room.
Yeah.
Wherever that is. All right, we're about a half hour away from puck drop. Canada and Finland. Again, for the stakes for this game, a regulation win by either nation today, and that team advances to play the United States on Thursday.
Oh, I wish this was the 8 o'clock game. It's going to be so good.
Right.
Well.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It'll be fun to watch.
Because USA-Sweden, if they had that game first, and the schedules were made for television, so people need to understand that. If that game were first, we would know exactly what is necessary from game 2.
Yes.
We may still, because an overtime decision leaves the door open for Sweden today.
Interesting.
An overtime win, regardless of who wins it, leaves the door open for the Swedes. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with one-timers next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's that time of year to come see me. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on those you love the most.
By getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They're safe and effective.
Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains.
So make sure you don't miss that family gathering and protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Get protected this season with updated COVID-19 and flu shots. Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are exiting the shortest month of the year for March. And you know what that means. College basketball. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 of their money to use as you see fit. As long as you win your first $5 bet, time for you new customers to join in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on all the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great. today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. We are inside a half hour from Canada and Finland. Winner in regulation goes to the championship game against the United States Thursday night. And there will be no Seth Jarvis today for Canada. He will be a healthy scratch. Travis Konechny draws in. And that will be the, I guess, their fourth line, although it's hard. Yeah, it's got to be their fourth line. Mitch Marner is skating with Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel as John Cooper's balanced his lines.
Selfishly happy about that.
Yeah, you know, I'm
fan.
bummed. I want to see Seth play because I actually think he's been very good.
I know, and his little bromance with Marchand's
right.
been so cute.
Like he played a lot more. He played more than Marchand and more than Sam Bennett.
Yeah.
On Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, but I'm also okay with Seth taking a game off. Mm-hmm. And who knows? Maybe we have seen the last of him because if Canada wins the game, maybe they go with the same lineup on Thursday night. All right, one timer.
Okay, so I do have Four Nations face-offs, but first of all, I know a lot of people have been comparing it to the NBA All-Star Game, so which there is no comparison. But what do you think the NBA should do to make their All-Star Game just better?
The game itself is bad, right?
Yeah.
Because, look, the same reason why people think that the 3-on-3 in the All-Star Game isn't great because it's just a bunch of, casual skating around, everybody trying to make fancy plays, which is fun to an extent. People want to see the best players compete. That's where the hockey has absolutely blown the NBA out of the water. If the NHL was doing a 3-on-3 All-Star game like they've done in the past, nobody'd be talking about it. What we're seeing is different. We spend too much time trying to fix the unfixable. The players they view the experience being an all-star as important. They don't view the game as important like they used to.
All right, and probably last but not least, on to the Four Nations. There has been a question as to whether Connor Hellebuyck is the American goalie GOAT. Would you say he is? And if not, who would be?
Well, I mean, he's the only goalie. He's the goalie GOAT now. And he's not going to play today, by the way. They're going to go with Jake Ottinger from Dallas. But no, man, it's probably Mike Richter, former Rangers goalie, right? My guess. Jim Craig, forever.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Caniacs, get ready for Iced Tea, a brand new podcast that gives you the behind-the-scenes stories from the Carolina Hurricanes. You watch the game back?
Yeah, all the time.
And are you hard on yourself?
Oh, God, yeah.
Any of the players ask for their crust off?
We do have one player that I cut the crust off, and I individually wrap it for him.
Your name is on the Stanley Cup.
It's the best trophy in sports.
Follow Iced Tea with Megan LaMontagne in any podcast app or watch the show on YouTube.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. February is the month for love. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to your rug. It's the Love Your Rug special. Have you ever Googled the company Zero Res? They have a 4.9 rating, and they want to come in and take all the nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again and again throughout your house from your carpets and floors and get rid of them. They want you to love your floors the way you should this February. So visit them online at zeroresraleigh.com or call 919-995-0000 and get the Love Your Rug special. That's 3 rooms of carpets cleaned starting at $109 and $100 off air duct cleaning on top of it. It's happening this month from Zero Res. ZeroResRaleigh.com or 919-995-0000.
A few contest rules from sports radio stations The Fan, The Buzz. No purchase necessary, 21 to enter and play. Limited to 1 entry per person and 1 prize winner per family or household per contest every 30 days. Employees of Capital Broadcasting, its agencies, sponsors, subsidiaries, other broadcast companies, and immediate families of the above are ineligible to play. Winners are verified, complete documentation, and are responsible for all taxes and prizes received. All prizes are non-transferable and cannot be redeemed for cash. Winners give Sports Radio the right to publicize his or her name, likeness, or voice. Sports may change contest rules and prizes at any time and holds no liability for canceled or postponed events. Complete info of sports radio contests available at WRALSportsFan.com or during normal business hours at 3100 Highwoods Boulevard in Raleigh.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Bison.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Here's McDavid on the move. McDavid scores! And Canada leads 1-0. Across the line, played it down low, they score! Jake Gensel ties it for the United States on a weak goal given up by Binnington. Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Dylan Larkin in transition gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight. Empty net, center ice, Larkin
Unbelievable Saturday night. Absolute rock'em sock'em. Great hockey. Did not in any way, shape, or form anticipate we would get what it looked like. Not the fight. The fights were the fights. The hockey.
Yeah, the game was so good. All of them have been. I've been surprised. All of them. Even the one before that.
It's been a phenomenal tournament. Yeah. It really has. By the way, Finland, Sweden, like we think that USA, Canada is a big game, and it is. It's the two best playing nations in the world. Sweden, Finland that is a rivalry, a legit. It's different. You heard the players talking about it. If you watch the coverage, in that it's big brother, little brother.
Yes.
Sweden's a bigger nation than Finland, bigger population, blah, blah, blah. I think Sweden is the reigning World Cup champs. I think. No, I'm sorry. That would be Czechia.
Oh.
Remember, they just won it this summer.
Right.
Right. World Championship of Hockey, which was in Prague this year. Martin Necas and company, they won. But I think from 2 years ago, I believe Sweden was the reigning champs. Either way, these two nations are awesome. Now, Finland is either the fourth or fifth best playing nation behind Russia, but we understand why Russia's not involved, right? Can we all agree?
Oh, yeah.
Thank
I think
you.
we can.
I think we can agree.
Yeah.
So now if we get Russia back, then Russia will have the goaltending depth to die for. They will have all sorts of high-scoring wings. But down the middle, Russia ain't good. Like, no joke. Right now, Yevgeny Malkin would be their top center, I think. And it's probably not good enough for Russia.
Mm-mm.
Right, down the middle, probably not good enough. Either way, but they have some unbelievable talent on that nation's potential roster. Either way, that's not what we're seeing. But Finland, Sweden is a legit game. Every game, and we have already had what? We've had 4. Right, there were 6 prelim games. These are the last 2 prelim games. Round robin play. We've had 4 incredibly good games. Sweden has gone to overtime both times, with Canada first and then with Finland. Mm-hmm. The United States has won their 2 games in regulation, but USA-Finland was tight inside the last 3 minutes of the second period. Then it was blown open early in the third, and USA-Canada was an incredible hockey game on Saturday night. I anticipate us having 2 very good games today. Odds makers believe that it's going to be low scoring today. Under 6.5 is minus money. Over 6.5 is plus. And I actually think that if Canada gets their nose in front of this game,
right,
that it's going to open up.
Yes.
First goal today will be enormous. If it's Finland, then I think you'll see them really try and play the way they played against Sweden, which was, we have the lead. We're just going to feather the puck out of here.
Yeah.
Actually, the United States did that once they got the lead on Canada. They sat back a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit, it was like, let's see if we can do this. And they did. Mm-hmm. Jacob Slayton was amazing Saturday night. All right. John Forza will join us tomorrow, by the way, to talk about this. We got a ton of stuff to do today. All right, a second look at what we're dealing with. All right, let's get to some basketball. So we had 4 games, important games over the weekend. Less important for Duke other than, we're seeing if they can complete the sweep. And they did. Blew out Stanford, blah, blah, blah. Kevin Hart was in town. You didn't know Kevin Hart was playing at the DPAC.
I did not know
Saturday
that.
night.
Oh, fun.
He's had a busy weekend.
He's very funny, too.
Right, because wasn't he also in Vegas?
Right.
For the All-Star game last night.
Yes.
So yes, he was here Saturday went to the Duke game, performed a D-Pack, flew to Vegas, and was at the NBA All-Star.
That time difference, too. He's probably doesn't know what day it is.
It's easy to go there because you get the time back.
Right. Makes sense.
Easy to go there, not so easy to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Star-studded on Saturday, and Duke was great. Cooper Flagg was awesome. Tyrese Proctor. Duke was 12 of 24 from three-point range. Carolina needs, I said this going into the weekend, let's assume that Carolina's not beating Duke the last game of the regular season. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. They'll probably be in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 point underdogs. If they win their other games, I think Carolina's going to be an NCAA tournament team. I said it can they win all those games? Well, their first one was at Syracuse, and they were good enough. Now, Syracuse, I thought, got where they wanted in the last 8 or so minutes, but ultimately Jalen Withers was awesome. Nice to see him back. Last year, it looked like he had kind of established himself as an important part of Carolina's rotation, and this year, for whatever reason, it wasn't happening, and he had kind of cycled to the end of the bench in terms of the players that Hubert Davis wants to use. But he's a good player for them at Syracuse. I don't know what like a personal 8-0 run or a 9-0 run where he was dominant. So he doesn't really solve their issues, but he's another guy that can put the ball in the basket. They still need some physicality, some rebounding up front, but they were able to beat Syracuse. That was a very good win. NC State, we understand what they have to do, right? We understand that they must probably win. They probably need to get to 6 wins to have a chance to make the ACC tournament. Jaden Taylor, who had a big game, understands what is at stake for this team if they want to extend their season by at least a week.
We know we got to get out the bottom 3 to make the ACC tournament. We're the defending champs, so it won't even feel right to not be in the tournament because we won it last year, so we know it's at stake.
All right, so they do, right? So here's their week, the Wolfpack. You are at North Carolina on Wednesday. It's a winnable game. Carolina ain't great either, right? Neither of these teams are great, but both teams understand that it is a must. And then State, at the end of the week, is home against Wake Forest. Look, do I think NC State's going to get to 6 wins? I think it's going to be tight. Their best scenario is getting to 5 and see if Notre Dame will help them out. Because Notre Dame has difficult games until the final week when they are at home against Cal and Stanford. Those two, Notre Dame is good enough to lose both of those games. Just say it that way. So can State get to 5 wins, and if they get to 5 and Notre Dame is on 5, State would have the tiebreaker. But they will not have the tiebreaker against anybody other than potentially Syracuse, but State has to play at Syracuse next week. I think it's Wednesday of next week they play at Syracuse. Duke and Virginia tonight. Good game. I don't think it'll be a pushover for Duke. I will be stunned if they lose it, but I don't think it will be a cakewalk for them. Cavaliers playing well. They have won 3 in a row. By the way, Notre Dame women's basketball is now number 1 in the country. Duke and Notre Dame, I believe the game is at Cameron Indoor Stadium tonight. So, big one for the Blue Devils and the Fighting Irish. And it was a great game yesterday at Carmichael Auditorium. Or they call it an auditorium or arena. They've changed that. But State had a 6-point lead and the ball, about little less than 2.5 left. And I thought at that point, managing the game, playing the right way offensively was the thing to do. And really what State did was they shot a bunch of threes. Now, they made one later on. But to me, this is where you've got the ball and a 2-possession lead. You put the pressure on the defense, you put it on the deck, and you go to the goal, and you try to get to the foul line and get free points. Because the team has to be desperate to stop you. I thought there was a bad call. They called the center, I think, Tigert. I think they called her for a charge. It was not a charge in any way, shape, or form. We must stop allowing the defender to move into the offensive player and pretend that the player had position. Bad call either way. The Carolina played better down the stretch. They made big shots. They exchanged 3 threes in a row. Carolina, and Tar Heels very deserving of the win. Congratulations to them. And we're playing great. We're very, very lucky to see the ACC women's basketball tournament, but the way ACC women's basketball is being played, it takes some of the sting out of the fact that the men are not doing the same thing this year. All right, speaking of which, we probably won't get into it today. And coming up on the other side, Brian Geisinger will join us and we'll talk some hoops. But the college football playoff looks like it's going to expand this upcoming year. I think.
Oh.
I think it's this upcoming year.
That's fast.
To go to 14.
We knew it was happening.
Right. Here's the thing. I've said this since we began talking about this. We keep hearing, they won't do this, they won't do that. They won't stop expanding until they can't. Because in their brains, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, in their brains, more means more. More games means more money. And the only reason we're doing this is because of money. That's it. We don't have to pretend otherwise. We don't have to come up with, it's more fair this way. We'll explain fair in a minute. But, so I think they're going to expand to 14 this year. I don't think they'll ever end at 14. I think we'll go to 16. And I believe that we will be at numbers bigger than 16 down the road. Promise. Basketball looks like it's going to go to 76. We're at 68 right now. I think we're going to end up at 76. There's a lot of people that think that's terrible. I kind of agree. But, we shouldn't be at 68. We should have stayed at 64.
Right.
We shouldn't have been at 65.
They just keep going up.
Right. Like 64 is where we should have stayed. But then, we had another conference. We can't. We have to have the right number of at-large teams. No, you just didn't want to take an at-large team away, even though a bunch of these teams formed a league. I get it all. We're not going to stop. We're going to end up, basketball will end up being at 90. I do think that it becomes counterproductive to go beyond 24 in football, but we'll eventually be at 24. So we can stop pretending that it's not going to happen, because it eventually will happen. But the basketball thing, I know they're voting on it, and there are no good arguments for it. None, because we're not leaving out good teams. The only arguments for it are, we can get more money.
That's what it comes down to.
That's the argument. Mm-hmm. It's not about access. Everybody's got the same access now.
Yep.
Right? Now, of course, in the ACC, we're going to have 3 teams not make the conference tournament. But that's not the only league in the country where not everybody makes their conference tournament. So we probably should weed it out on campus sites and then advance people to the conference tournament. But that's not how it's going to happen. In the ACC, we're going to have a cutoff. The bottom 3 teams get relegated, if you will. They don't advance. But this is the way of the world in college basketball, in college football. We're going to have ever-expanding tournaments. And I do think in basketball we will eventually end around 90. They have set the rules to where 90 is within the parameters. So we'll have essentially a half round of additional basketball where about half the teams will play an additional game. Again, it doesn't fit neatly on a one-sheet bracket, and that's a problem, but we'll figure it out. We already have the first four that doesn't fit into anybody's bracket. It really doesn't. If you didn't pick any of the first four games, you could still win a pool. And that's really the only thing that matters. All right, when we come back, Brian Geisinger from the Substack Split the Action. We will talk about a Tobacco Road successful weekend for a change. Next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts.
It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365. Where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at TurboTax.com/free.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Seriously, croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. We did not have a fight between Canada and Finland in the first 15 seconds. So there you go. And if you're just tuning in, no Seth Jarvis for Canada today. Also, no Teuvo Teravainen for Finland.
Oh.
He is a healthy extra for the Finns.
Okay.
Yeah, he got benched in the third period. So did Arturi Lehkonen. And I think Eric Halla also. Those guys really didn't play at all in the third period. And Teravainen has come out of the lineup. I think Joel Armia is taking that spot in the Finns lineup today, but I don't anticipate them playing a ton. Both teams need a regulation win to guarantee their spot in the championship game on Thursday night against the United States. All right. It was we haven't had too many good Tobacco Road ACC men's basketball weekends this year, but we had one. 4 for 4. I want to start, if I could, with Brian Geisinger. You can split the action, 24/7 Sports, Buzzbeat podcast, everywhere. Pack Pride. Let's start with the Demon Deacons win, because I think I was just talking to Connor O'Neill the other day, and we were putting out an APB out on, Parker Fredrickson, and we had a Parker Fredrickson sighting. Obviously they needed it because SMU is a good team, and Wake needed a win, especially that one. But what does this mean ultimately going forward for the Deacs?
It's a totally different dimension to the offense, and I just assumed he was going to break out of the slump, at some point this season. Now, I would have thought it would have been in like December, not February. But to have a guy like Parker who can run around and shoot threes, and you can use a player like that in a bunch of different ways, because he can come off the screens, he can space to the corner, he can be a zone buster. Wake Forest has often been good if you think about how they have used Damari Monsanto in years past, or how they used Fredrickson last year, using those guys as screeners to help get guys open, and then having those guys pop out for three-point opportunities too. If this is something they can bank on for the rest of the year, like if he's just a high volume, high 30s, low 40s% three-point shooter, it gives them, it makes them deeper for sure, but it also just sort of like opens up the playbook. It opens up the floor for guys like Hunter Salas, Cam Hildreth, Efton Reed, Trayvon Spillers, like Tyler Johnson, like all these guys that either want to finish in the paint or finish in the post. So it was a big deal, and obviously a great win. I know SMU didn't have Booby Miller either, but for Wake to get that win without Cam Hildreth, who's been their second, third best player this season, was significant for Steve Forbes and company.
Yeah, the truth is that I hate to use Joe Lunardi as an example because it's not a great example. But if you are in a position where everybody who does brackets has you in the same part of the at-large pool, so you're either, a hair in or out, then these types of wins matter. Doesn't mean, like Lunardi in his bunker on Saturday, they were like, well, the winner of this game is on the right side of the bubble. We got 3 weeks of regular season basketball left.
Yeah. By the way, just scintillating back and forth between Lunardi and Eric Devendorf during the Wake SMU.
It's the worst.
Really just gripping, thrilling stuff that I loved having during the middle of the broadcast.
It is terrible. It is. Yeah, it just makes for a very. First of all, it's insulting to the basketball watching person, whoever's watching the game.
Happening. There's a game literally happening,
right?
Like as this is taking place, it's crazy.
Do this at halftime. Don't bother me during a game with Joe Lunardi in a lower box. I don't care. I like Joe. I've known Joe for literally 30 years. So I like Joe. But, I mean, and I know people go, well, he's not that good at it. They're all about the same. We're dealing with such fractions of percentages. Lenardi will get one team in wrong. Same thing with Jerry Palm, who's actually going to be on the show tomorrow. But the bottom line, the bottom line is that I love Jerry's just the driest guy ever. He is a popcorn fart. But they're in a part of the bracket where everybody agrees that a Wake loss in a game like that is significant, and a Wake win is also significant. Doesn't put him in, wouldn't have kept him out, but it gives them another good win, and that was a good win for Wake Forest. I still think that they're not deep enough to be consistently good. They are way too heavily reliant on their three best players. Can Parker Fredrickson do this again? We'll see. Let me get to the Wolfpack. I mean, different part of we're not even talking about an at-large bid here. We're talking about can they make the ACC tournament?
They're on the bubble for the ACC tournament.
That is unfortunate, and it's too bad it's not an objective selection, right? You could say, well, they're better than this. We're going to put them in because that's not how it's going to work. They need to catch Notre Dame because they lose the tiebreaker with Cal. If they can get to 6 wins, maybe Cal won't win again. And they need to beat Syracuse, which I think they could.
They definitely could.
I think they could beat Syracuse. But what did you see from the Wolfpack that was encouraging that we can take going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it comes with the obvious caveat of, it was Boston College, and I mean, it really feels like this is like end game here for Earl Grant and BC. Like the wheels have sort of just fallen off this season without Quentin Post. But I thought it was one of State's best two-way performances of the season. It's not like they were like scintillating on offense, but it was the most efficient offensive game they'd had in a month since the loss to Cal in Raleigh, and it was their most efficient defensive performance of the ACC season. I thought it was impressive that they didn't have sort of like the one spell of the game where they just went 4 straight minutes without a bucket.
Right.
There was none of that. I thought Jaden Taylor did a nice job sort of like establishing a rhythm early. I mean, he didn't have like a hyper-efficient game, 6 of 16 shooting, but he got him going early on. And then I just thought like both Middlebrooks and Brandon Huntley-Hatfield did a nice job in the screen roll game. And those guys got downhill. They made some plays on the short roll. Michael O'Connell got going. That was probably the best game he's had, and I don't even know how long. It's not like he shot a crazy number, but 6 assists, and several of those came into half court, which has been such like an issue of concern for him. I thought NC State and Kevin Keats had some nice stuff dialed up for Boston College playing drop coverage against Michael O'Connell. You saw them go into that Stack Spain pick and roll look, and they got some buckets off of that. So overall, I thought it was like a solid two-way performance. Like they had BC scouted well, and they executed like really, really nicely. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Paul McNeil Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I know he got to pick up those 2 fouls and got yanked out and never got put back in. As far as some of the other young guys go, Gold, I think you and I talked about Trey Parker last week. He only played 10 minutes in this game, but he continues to just like pop as a playmaker.
Yeah.
The 2 lob dunks, Dennis Parker Jr. in transition, and continues to make good decisions in the half court out of the ball screen. Like, he does sort of profile as a guy that could really be like a plus starter at that guard position for them, next season or 2 years down the line, something like that. So that's another guy to keep an eye on. And certainly, like, he didn't play in the first game against UNC for State. So We'll see what he looks like Wednesday night in the Dean Dome, assuming he's going to be getting some playing time.
Yeah, and it's always a difficult assumption, I think, with Kevin Keats this year. It actually disturbed me, I guess it was about a week ago. He was asked, and I forget which pre-game press conference it was, Kevin Keats was asked how he determines, the rotation, and he goes, it's mostly by feel. And at this point, the wheels had come off the season, right? They're in the throes of this long losing streak, which is now over. But at this point, like, man, I thought you would have been turning to the freshmen already, but that to me that was a little bit disturbing. I want to see the freshmen be more of it because I think you're going to need to convince him to stay.
Yeah, that's the thing that's like so. I mean, just different now. I think in a previous era, like 5 years ago, like it's a no-brainer. You would have started playing Paul McNeil more, Trey Parker more, Ismail Diouf more, Bryce Hurd more. But given the fact that it's not guaranteed that any of those guys are back, maybe if you're desperately trying to make the NCAA tournament, maybe you do just keep riding with the seniors, and the veterans. I feel like that's kind of what we've seen. I mean, McNeil and Parker have definitely played more, so it seems like he's trying to kind of do a little bit of both,
right,
and not fully sort of commit to the youth movement versus just doubling down on, the veterans. But Paul McNeil gets in and it gets a layup in transition, gets a steal. And, picked up 2 fouls. One of them was a cheapie on a reach in, but. Look, Kevin is he is committed to if you have 2 fouls in the first half, like you're sitting on the bench. But I would have liked to have seen him just to have given Paul McNeil a little bit more of a runway in that game. But it's tough too because Jane Taylor and Michael O'Connell were playing good games too. So that can certainly make things a little bit more congested in terms of finding minutes for the young guys.
Yeah, I just think those guys have to be incorporated. You got to give them something, especially. Because it makes no sense to me to have a 9-game losing streak and you have freshmen who you have teased your fans over the last month and a half and still not use them. But again, I agree. I think Trey Parker could be big. It was a good win for North Carolina at Syracuse. It's good to see Jalen Withers. I actually kind of have started to see him start to get back into the flow. I don't know if he was dealing with an injury or an illness or whatever, but Withers had completely gone to the other end of their rotation. But he was really good, especially in the second half at Syracuse. We could call it the Jalen Withers game, I guess. But that was I believe that if North Carolina can win all of their remaining games other than the Duke one, I think and maybe win twice, at least once at the ACC tournament, I think they're an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, I mean they're right. They're right there, obviously, and there's some work to be done, but they certainly have some opportunities. And I think both UNC and Wake having Duke on their remaining schedule before the season ends is a little bit fortunate for both those teams to have that opportunity in the queue at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to the Withers game just goes to show you when UNC gets a little bit more scoring and shooting punch from the front court. Everything else can kind of fit into place a little bit more with the guards, I think it was good to see Ian Jackson get going. It felt like he hadn't had a good game since the game in Raleigh against State back in January when he hit 5 threes.
Mm-hmm.
He'd sort of been struggling since then. So big for him to get going. And then, Withers, I mean, who knows, how consistent it is with the shot, stuff like that. But they've been pretty, I mean, I think Drake Powell, who's super talented, has given them some production this season, but they've been really starved for one more guy to be a consistent stretch option in the front court. I mean, it was supposed to be Kay Tyson on paper, at least heading into the season. That just never got off the ground at all. Withers was starting this season at the power forward, so we'll see if, this guy's a veteran. He's a good defensive player, good energy guy. So it's when he's playable, if he makes enough shots to make him playable, he's a really nice two-way piece. But I mean, for years now, the shot has been sort of a swing skill for him, even going back to his time at Louisville. So something to monitor with him down the stretch. But yes, if he's even 75% of that every game from here on out, it's actually a pretty big deal for them.
No, see, I think it's a big deal too, but ultimately I don't think it changes North Carolina's calculus. I still think that their hole in the middle, their lack of offensive rebounding, their lack of defensive rebounding, their lack of being able to get offense other than maybe a putback here and there or a lob to Jalen Washington. They don't get anything from the 5 spot.
It's definitely part of that. I just think too, it's they have these 4 guards who are all good, all very big recruits, talented. Jackson's an NBA player. Obviously, Trimble and Cadeau, after some good starts to the year shooting the ball, really dipped. I think Cadeau's decision making has been up and down this season, but it's just the fact that those guys don't they have all this guard talent, but it's not a lot of shooting. And, you know, in lineups, if one of just Davis or Jackson is on the court, then they only have one shooter out there. And even if they have those two guys out there, they're often being surrounded by multiple, you know, shaky or sort of like questionable shooters. It's like there's this one version of this where you have four guards and you spread the court and you run pick and roll and you spray out the shooters. Like, that could work.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't really have like the pieces for that. Then you have guys like Cadeau and Trimble that there is like a bit of a fit concern with them too. So, you know, I think if you had simulated this season out 10,000 times, I mean, I don't know. I think it goes better in most cases, you know, than it has this time. But there are some genuine concerns in terms of like how that guard room is oriented.
Yeah, again, there's so many options and combinations you can do in Carolina's backcourt. And I don't know that any of it is good enough to compensate against good teams. Like, Carolina can beat basically every team in the league except maybe the top two, you know, with Louisville being the third team, because I think that the top two teams can bully you around the rim.
Clemson's we talked about this last Monday, and then those teams played last Monday night, and Clemson blew them out. Like, it's just a really bad matchup. For UNC on both ends of the floor.
Let me, Brian Geisinger is joining us here. Split the Action on Substack. You got to check that out. 24/7 Sports, Pack Pride, Buzzbeat is everywhere. Let me quickly about Duke's win over Stanford. And Duke plays Virginia tonight, which Virginia's playing better. I don't think Virginia's very good, but they're playing better, and it will not be an easy environment to play at John Paul Jones Arena. But what do we learn? What did we learn about Duke against Stanford and against Cal too? Since, you know, the Blue Devils had two pretty comfortable wins. Yeah, I mean the offense Saturday was ridiculous. You know, I mean, I know Stanford's not exactly a defensive stalwart, but I mean that was Duke's most efficient offensive game of the season. Like, right. They were amazing in it. I mean, it just goes to show you, like, they can problem solve against different defenses. Like, you play against Stanford and Cal, you know, two teams that play a lot of deep drop coverage. You know, when they guard ball screens, you know, they're putting Maxime Reynaud or Lee Dort. You know, those guys are well below the level of the screen. And for Duke's offense to still take that kind of coverage and be able to bust it up is, you know, rather impressive. Mm-hmm.
But forgive the train in the background here.
Quite all right.
But
that's Cooper Flagg coming to town.
Yeah, exactly. But I would also say too, Duke against Stanford, Maxime Reynaud he's one of the best players in the league. He's probably been a top, you know, 3 or 4 guy in the league this season. He's a true matchup problem as a, you know, 7-1 stretch 5 who can pass and handle. And he had a big first half, but Duke's second half defense against him, like their execution of their game plan, the way they were able to take their first matchup against that kind of player type, and sort of like take him out for a large stretch of the game was really impressive. So I would just say, like, it goes more towards the sort of like problem solving and malleability of Duke. It's what sort of those games last week showed me, their ability to win in different ways, even against sort of like weaker ACC competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, still stuff to take from that.
Brian Geisinger at @BGeis_bird on Twitter, at Brian Geisinger is it Brian Geisinger on Blue Sky?
Yes, it is.
At Brian Geisinger on Blue Sky. Appreciate your time, my friend. And by the way, if you were wondering, Canada-Finland's over. 2-0 Canada, and it happened quickly as Finland just can't get the puck across center ice. All right, my friend, I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, take care.
You got it. I'm not sure Brian cared about Canada-Finland. He was not moved by that.
More of a basketball guy.
Right. No, that's fine. But I know he likes the Canes,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But I was going back and forth with people on Twitter today about this game, Canada-Finland. And for me, and I said this having watched the first Finnish game when Finland played the United States, Finland's got great two-way forwards all up and down the ice. Even Patrick Laine has been pretty good responsibly defensively. Finland's problem, injury or otherwise, not deep on the blue line. And they cannot get the puck out of their own end. They are just hoping to get it out to center ice.
Oh, wow.
And both goals, turnovers, either at or just outside the blue line. One to McDavid, the other to McKinnon. 2-0.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
2-0. Oh.
It's going to be a long 60 minutes for them.
Yeah. Now, if they can hold it here at 2, seriously, if they can hold it at 2, they can claw their way back in it. I just don't think they can. I think ultimately their problem on the back end is going to completely eliminate their opportunity to win this game. All right, when we come back, we will stretch and we will place bets. It was not a good weekend. I lost my 5-game winning streak.
No.
Yeah, no good.
Well, you had a good week the week before.
I did. Oh, it was a huge week.
Yes.
All right, we'll try to get back on it next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are exiting the shortest month of the year for March. And you know what that means. College basketball. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 of their money to use as you see fit. As long as you win your first $5 bet, time for you new customers to join in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on all the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Gold. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. 2-0 Canada. We have played 13 minutes of the first period in Boston. Canada with a regulation win gets to the gold medal match, if you will. Brayden Point has just made it 3-0. As I said 2.5 minutes in, this is over.
Yeah, it's donezo.
The Finns... It wasn't that they needed to get the first goal. They just couldn't get steamrolled early. And steamrolling has happened. 3-0. And again, these are 3 goals, all in transition, all off turnovers. And ultimately, that was the problem for Finland. If you watch the first couple of games, it's not that Finland doesn't have good defensemen. They're good. Nico Mikola, who plays for Florida. He's a top pair defenseman for Finland because Miro Heiskanen is out. But he ain't a puck mover. He's a big body and a good defenseman.
Yeah.
And right now they've got one guy who can legitimately move the puck, and that's Asa Lindell for Dallas.
Need a puck mover.
They can't get the puck out of their end. They can't get the puck up in transition. You have great forwards who are dynamite two-way players. I haven't even seen. It's hard to watch when you're actually doing the radio show.
Yeah.
But I've watched enough. I have not seen Sebastian Aho yet.
Oh.
No, he's played.
Right.
I have not seen Sasha Barkov.
Right.
I only saw Mikko Rantanen get knocked off the puck. It's just, they just can't get it. Canada's had the puck. 3-0 Canada. We will see USA Canada on Thursday night.
And people thought you should take the under. Nope.
I mean, we might. Finland might not score. The final score might be 6-0.
I know.
Legitimately, Finland has not had the puck.
Canada's
as far
halfway
as
there
I could
on their
tell.
own. It's not even into the second period yet.
It's pretty much done. All right, let's stretch.
Well, one thing that's not done is egg prices going up because it's just ridiculous now. They're at an all-time high.
Is it?
Thanks, bird flu.
What are they?
I don't know what they are. I mean,
my wife bought 2 dozen eggs yesterday.
Around here, I sometimes they're like $8. Some people will say they're around $8 a carton. Yeah, it's crazy. But in New York, because everything's more expensive in New York, they're saying they're about $12.99 for a carton of eggs up there. So
paying a bucket, $1 an egg,
basically. Or if you want to have a single egg, Pamela's Green Deli in the Bronx is starting to sell eggs by themselves, and she's calling them Egg Lucy's, like the cigarettes.
Very nice.
Like you can get an
egg
that's
funny.
by itself. So she's selling Egg Lucy's for $2.99 now.
$2.99 an egg?
Yes, that's where we're at now. So she said that some people can't afford the $13 carton of eggs, so why not buy one for $3?
$3 an egg?
Exactly. Exactly. So, and if you're wondering, she is not breaking any laws by doing this as of yet, because as long as you can, sell a carton, I guess, legally you can sell them by a Lucy, an egg Lucy. So, yeah, I don't know. I may have to end up getting a chicken to keep in my backyard if it gets a little crazy. This is also crazy, and I know that you're a coffee lover, so I'm curious to see if this is something you would try, because a Swiss company is making a product that they're selling online called tubes. Well, it's tubes of coffee that they are putting into just little tubs that you can have and spread it on like toast, or they recommend bananas or fruit of some sort if you don't want to drink your coffee. So I don't know why this is a thing, but they decided they wanted to make a spreadable coffee. They say it's 100% actual coffee beans that are sweetened with organic Swiss beet sugar. Yum.
Nice.
I don't know. So if you want to give this a try, it is called, quote, No Normal Coffee, and you can get it in tubes online. As of right now, a single tube is worth $17.
Really?
Why would you do this? And they're saying it's an equivalent of 20 cups of coffee. So I guess if you're just that coffee lover and you like the taste of it and you think you'd like it on your toast rather than in your cup, I don't know. To each their own. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, for $17 you can get tubs of spreadable coffee if that suits your fancy. And last but not least, I know that the crud has been going around.
Yeah.
There's been the bug that's been getting a lot of people. It got a lot of guys on the canes here recently. Well, researchers at a university in Indianapolis conducted a study on 100 American cities, and they decided which cities were most likely and least likely to catch a cold. In North Carolina, there's 3 of our cities in one of these categories.
Because our temperatures are all over the place.
Right. Well, here's the shocker. They're saying we're in the least catchable. I know. If people could see Adam's face, that's what I thought too. We are in 3 of our cities are in the top 10 cities you're least likely to catch a cold. And Raleigh's one of them, even though it got our half of our hockey team. Oh, gosh. So, yeah, Raleigh, Durham, and Wilmington are all in the top 10. And then the places that are most likely are places like Bakersfield, California, very specific, El Paso, Texas. So a lot of Texas, California, Chicago is in there. So I don't know. It blew my mind away. I didn't understand how they came up with this, but they say they looked at things like weather, sneezing-induced dry air, local vaccination rates, nutrition, population density, and children, because that's really where it comes from. Walking petri dishes, that's where it comes from.
Send your kids to school.
Exactly.
Come home. What's happening.
Got more than a finger painting to put on your refrigerator. So, yeah, you should feel good about our cities, I guess, not catching a cold. But we should feel good about our bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, so forget about the disastrous weekend that I had. I think I won one anytime goal scorer in soccer over the weekend.
Okay, well,
so
that's
it
something.
Mitigated the damage to whatever I did.
It's a new week.
You're right. And today, I actually tried to get in and use real American currency.
Oh, yes.
Now, and I got some goal scores, but I didn't get the game. I would have taken Canada to win in regulation.
Yes.
They're going to. But I do have a Brenden Point anytime goal. At I think it was plus 220.
Oh, well, there you go.
I also have Sam Reinhart, anytime goal scorer at plus 170. He has not scored yet.
Could still happen.
Yes.
Well, today, in the later game, because I didn't realize this one was going to be on during the show, give me Adrian Kempe as an anytime goal scorer tonight, plus 280.
He's been great. He's been great. I'll tell you who else has been great. Minnesota's Matt Boldy has been dynamite. Boldy scores tonight, plus 400 for the United States. The game is a 7 o'clock game. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Go. That is nice.
Thank you.
No, really, thank you. I am actually going to take Sweden against the U.S., and only because they're trying. They're really trying to win, and I hope the U.S. leaves back some of our big dogs. So just give me the upset underdog Sweden to win. They're plus 155.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for them, though. I think because the U.S. is going to use a lot of the players they haven't used extensively.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think you're going to see that Boldy line on the ice a lot. I like the U.S. minus a goal and a half. Over 5.5 is plus 245. And Duke will cover the 13.5 at Virginia tonight. And there you go. 3-0 Canada. See you Thursday.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold for my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. Happy President's Day to you. And wouldn't you like to save a bunch of dead presidents? This is my way of telling you that you could save thousands of dollars when you buy a house or refinance your mortgage simply by using Miller Lending. MillerLending.com, because they don't want your closing cost money. They want you to keep your money, do something with it. Take a vacation, put it in the kids' college fund. I don't know, buy a car, do some home renovations. It's your money. Pay off some debt. It's your money. It's not the bank's money. It belongs to you. Miller Lending, Gordon Miller figured out a long time ago that you could keep more of your own money, give yourself the freedom to refinance free of charge when the rates come down. And on President's Day, as we try to save as many dead presidents as possible, MillerLending.com. Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage, is an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
If you see a student being bullied, be supportive. Ask if they're okay and invite them to join you. You'll be an ally and you can make a friend. Friendship! Visit StopBullyingSpeakUp.com and join Cartoon Network to redraw your world without bullying.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. February is the month for love, and everybody's going to be getting down and dirty. Well, if you had to get down and dirty on your carpets and floors, would you be afraid of what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's also the biggest air filter in your home. Get your house Zero Resified and get all those scary smells far away from where you should be having a wonderful month of love. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned starting at $109 and $100 off air duct cleaning this month from Zero Res. It's going on until February 28th, so visit ZeroRes.com or call 919-995-0000. That's ZeroResRaleigh.com or 919-995-0000. Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards, it spells the same.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
13 seconds now, 12, 11, and 10. Cooper at the Coach K Court logo. Gets some space, ready to go to work. Looks to the bench, gets the play call. Spins on Gieler. Down the center of the paint, rises up. Wouldn't go. Malu watch the offensive rebound and the putback. Kaman's got 8. And we are at halftime with the Blue Devils leading by 15. Cooper theft in backcourt. A chance to run ahead for Knipple. Now James, here's the lob! And Cooper to throw it down! He got the theft! He got the dunk! The lead is 19!
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. They have played a period in Boston. Well, Canada's played a period in Boston.
Yeah.
Finland chased them around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
3-0 Canada. As long as they don't, get locked inside their dressing room, then it'll be USA-Canada on Thursday, and that's exactly what we want.
Yes.
We all want to see it again because it was fun Saturday night.
Such good hockey.
It has been great hockey. Real quick before, because I know we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA All-Star Game and related things to the NBA coming up in about 15 minutes. Brenden Whitted is going to join us. This was a very stark weekend in contrast between the NBA and the NHL for currently how they are positioning their All-Star week. The NBA has made constant changes to their All-Star game. Elam ending. They did a tournament this week. We've done drafts before. They've done all those things. By the way, they did the draft after the NHL did the draft. First NHL All-Star draft here in Raleigh when Eric Stahl drafted Cam Ward first overall. Anyway, the bigger deal for the NBA is that when the guys get on the court to play in the All-Star game, it's clear that they're not trying defensively. It's obvious, and that's okay, right? Let's not try to fix something that isn't fixable. You're not going to get these guys to legitimately care about an All-Star game. The reason why the Four Nations tournament is working is because the players care, and they care deeply. No way I anticipated what I saw. Not only Tuesday and Wednesday night, Saturday night shocked me. Fight in the first 9 seconds. Again, I am not pro-fighting at all. But those guys, it mattered to those guys.
Big time.
The game really, really mattered.
Very passionate.
And it was a great hockey game as well. All right, we'll talk NBA with Brenden Whitted coming up in about 15 minutes. Right now, it's time
the
for
wall of sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, we'll start with the Tar Heels win in Syracuse. We might remember it as the Jalen Withers game. Best player. Had a, 8 or 9 point streak of his own in the middle of the second half. Hubert Davis on Withers getting it back.
I mean, he just came up huge for us. And he came up huge for us in ways that people, yes, he was rebounding and he hit threes for us, his finishes around the basket. But where he helped us out the most was defensively. Him with size, they couldn't post up that position. And so we didn't have to double team that position. And that was because of Jay Witt. And so him being out there on the floor, I think he played his best game of the season. And I'm glad he played it tonight.
He did. He was great. And I don't think it'll help against good teams, at least teams that can present a problem to North Carolina around the rim. I don't think Jalen Withers changes the calculus against Duke. I think the only thing that does is if Jalen Washington has a really big game. And it could happen because anything could happen. It's sports. All right, one more from Hubert. And this is about the return of Ian Jackson, who had been pretty much mired in a slump.
Well, I mean, he was in a nice rhythm, and he was taking good shots. And, he's a guy that can score at all three levels, whether it's from three, mid-range to the basket. And he was able to get some easy looks. And, being back in New York, I know this is far away from the Bronx, but I know he had a number of family and friends. And his best friend is Elijah Moore on Syracuse's team. And so really proud of him.
As long as Jackson and Powell and Davis can be good offensively, those three guys, if Carolina can get something from the 5 spot, from the center, then they have a legitimate chance to beat everybody not named Duke and Clemson. I think they could beat Louisville if they get good work from those three guards, wings, and get anything from center. They can win any game in the league other than Clemson and Duke, and the Duke game will even throw a roll of the dice because it is Duke Carolina. Kevin Keats and his Wolfpack got back to defending, and they beat Boston College.
We got back to who we were defensively, a defensively hard-hat team, only giving up 29 points. We, forced 16 turnovers. I think this was the most steals that we've had in the ACC game. And so I think we set the tone really early with who we are. We struggle at times to score, and so our defense has to keep us in games, and I thought we were very good today.
All right, real quick, 2 from John Shire. The first is about their offense, and they were amazing offensively, especially in the second half.
I just loved our sharing. I thought we were really sharp, played at a great pace. That's something we've been focusing on, is playing not just faster where you're taking the quickest shots in the world, but where you're putting pressure on the defense. And I thought our guys did that. And just look, 23 assists, 5 turnovers. That's big time. I think that led to shooting a great percentage.
I go back to the State game. Now, Duke won the game. But again, I thought they won the game, and I said it the day after. They won the game because they were better than State, not because they played better. They didn't. NC State played a better game than Duke did. Duke just has way more talent than the Wolfpack does. And they didn't share the ball. It became a very defendable offense. They were not defendable. They were unplayable for Stanford. The ball movement was amazing. The shooting reflected it. If they do that, they're not losing. Now, they could play their best game and lose to an Auburn or even lose to an Alabama. That was high-level basketball, by the way. In Tuscaloosa, Auburn is the best team. They are amazing. But Duke obviously has the home court win. That was the Isaiah Evans game. One more from John Shire, because Duke, 2 days after beating Stanford, is playing at Virginia tonight.
It's a quick turnaround, a ton of respect for Virginia, and how difficult it is to win at their place. And God willing, we'll be in a situation where you can play 2 games in 3 days, or ACC tournament, hopefully 2 games in 2 days. So the recovery and the mental preparation is going to be critical.
All right, let's do one more here, and we're going to go back to hockey. So after USA-Canada on Saturday night, when we started the game with 3 fights, but ended the game with just an outstanding 60-minute hockey game, John Cooper, the coach of Hockey Canada, talked about the whole thing.
I have no idea what the TV ratings were, but the audience had to be vast, and I think it had a combination of everything. And the naysayers, you can say whatever you want about fighting. That was what ignited the game. And then when both teams flexed and nobody backed down, then a hockey game broke out, and it was a fantastic hockey game. And I said last night, when you get the best players in the world, not only trying to score, but actually checking, and this is what you get. And so you're holding your breath every time there's a potential scoring chance, because you don't know if it's going to be the last one. And I thought the game is in a better place because last night's game existed. The only thing that I was disappointed that we weren't on the right end of it, but the characters, the personalities on both teams, I think really came to the forefront, and it's why we love this game. And it's a pretty brilliant game of speed, grace, and toughness and swag, and all those things combined in one, and it can bring 22,000 people to a frenzy, and it was phenomenal to be a part of.
So John Cooper told you what mattered right away. Why did the NHL show better than the NBA this weekend? It's because every NHL player in that game Saturday night, and the Finland-Sweden game Saturday afternoon, which was also a dynamite hockey game.
Very good.
I watched both.
Yes.
I watched the entirety of both, and I was riveted.
Yes.
You could tell the players cared. There's no substitute for caring about the performance.
Mm-mm.
And to me, and I didn't watch a second of this NBA All-Star game, but I have watched plenty over the last 5 years. They care to a point. There was no to a point about USA-Canada Saturday night, Finland-Sweden Saturday afternoon, or Canada-Finland so far today. I mean, Finland cares.
Yes.
They're just overwhelmed.
They can't handle it.
And Canada is doing the overwhelming. They care. They want another crack at the United States on Thursday.
No, this feels like playoff hockey because they are all leaving it out there big time.
I would normally scoff
at
the notion that it feels like playoff hockey, except it does.
It does.
It absolutely does. All right, we're going to break. We're going to come back. We'll talk about the NBA All-Star Game. We'll talk about who might be the teams to watch in the second half. And also, an interesting question that Brenden himself, not that he can't pose an interesting question, about women's basketball posed over the weekend that I want to talk about with Brenden Whitted, our basketball brain, who joins us next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morcell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
Kudos, Carl. You've always had a need for speed. Racing anything with wheels. Yelling out 3, 2, 1 at every traffic light. But this time, you've taken your power obsession to the next level. By purchasing this electric vehicle, you've given yourself instant torque that blows your old launch times away, which will keep you saying, woo-wee, every time you punch the pedal. Good for your adrenaline, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the NC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with this station.
What did you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with. Like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later, and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the 1s and 2s. $3-0 Canada in what is essentially a semifinal to get to the championship match Thursday night against the United States. They are waxing Finland, and it will likely be a regulation Canada win.
Yeah.
That'll put them in the title game on
It's only 3-0 because they're
Thursday
still in
night.
intermission.
Right, because we've only played a third of the game.
Right.
So there's really no way to fix the unfixable. And I think we need to figure that out. I need to come to grips with it because all sports, what has the NFL done? They've stopped playing a Pro Bowl. Why? Because players didn't want to play it. Brenden Whitted, my friend, at HU Cosell on Twitter, one of our rotating basketball brains, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. We have a number of things to get to.
Let's get to it, man.
So let's start with the NBA All-Star Game. And I think the worst thing that happened to the NBA All-Star Game and maybe All-Star Weekend was the fact that the NHL was doing their thing the same weekend. Because these games, and I know it's not necessarily the same audience, but these games really mattered to the NHLers. Really mattered. When was the last time the NBA All-Star Game really mattered to the players?
I think I'm going to push back a little because I heard you in the first segment. First off, you sounded really surprised I came up with a good idea for a segment for the show. Don't love that. Don't love that. No. Heard it, and we're moving on. Heard it and moving on. But the second thing is like with the change in format where they give real teams. So essentially they had like kind of these 2 rising star sort of teams.
Right.
Then they had essentially the international players on the squad. And they had the OGs, and those are the guys that everybody Harden, Steph Curry, KD. LeBron was hurt; it was a late scratch, I think, an ankle injury.
Right.
But in the first OG game, which was the second game overall, so they had semifinals and then finals. In that first OG game, they're going to go, for the kill. They're going for score 40, right? So they're going at a particular score. They're about at 36 at the time. Kevin Durant on a breakaway. You know what breakaways are on an All-Star game. He gets a hard foul as he goes up because they're trying to stop him from scoring. And so, I was I thought that the All-Star game this year, they did care more. I thought the basketball itself was better. Now, the actual product, there is a lot to be said about there being just a quick way for them to change it a little bit. But one, less filler. There was a 3-hour program, 30 minutes worth of basketball.
Right.
That's too much. That's too much Kevin Hart. It's too much Barkley. It's too much. Too much. I'm in the DMV. I like my crab cakes without the filler. Same thing with the All-Star game. Give me the basketball. 2, change the numbers a little bit. The basketball went really quickly. They got to 40 a lot quicker than people thought. So maybe in the first semifinals it's 45, and then in the finals it's 50. So you get a little bit more of that basketball. And then the third thing, I mentioned Barkley. Stop having people on to talk about basketball that don't like talking about basketball. It's enough. Enough with the inside the NBA crew. I'm over it. The whole idea that you were put upon because you have to watch a game and you don't feel like talking about it. That's cool. Please sit up and move on and give that space to somebody who actually does like watching hoops, because this is ultimately, I think that's the worst thing that the NBA did was placate these media companies with, I'll just put whomever in these positions who don't like watching basketball and don't do it, and you hear it every time they speak.
A couple of things. First of all, I think it was also bad that they had their own players criticizing the product. Draymond Green, he didn't just criticize the All-Star game, he criticized the game. And whether he's right or wrong, I think he's wrong about that. It's never a good look when one of your players is criticizing your overall game, especially when I think he's wrong. But let me just, I'm not really pushing back on the pushback, but I did get a chance after the fact to watch the first game yesterday, and I don't know if it was the first game. I know it was Team Kenny versus Team Chuck. I think
that was the first game.
Right?
I think that was it.
And while in the game you were referring to, they didn't want Durant to win, so it was a hard foul. I watched the first until they got to Karl Anthony Towns hit the 40-footer, right? And I thought that neither team gave a damn about the defensive end of the court. And to me, that's the separator. That's why you can get to 40 so fast, because neither team was trying really to stop one another. And I get it. We're trying to fix something, to me, that isn't fixable, because if you can't get the players to commit to playing both ends of the court, and I understand why you wouldn't in an all-star game. This is not a criticism. I just don't think the product becomes fixable. And maybe what you need is to showcase all of your younger players as opposed to, the old guys. Have them sprinkled in the teams, have the old guys be part of it, but maybe the younger guys really play a bigger role.
I know I liked the idea of highlighting the young players like you talked about. Like, that was part of the thing that bothered me about the coverage. Like, you had all these large swaths of time. Give me a highlight on Cade Cunningham. A guy who was having a breakout season for a team, Detroit, who is much better than anybody thought that they were going to be this year. Give them a little bit of shine. You let a fan of a small market team puff their chest out a little bit, like, hey, man, we're getting some of this love, and you're also investing in the future for your team. Like, everything, I love LeBron. I love KD. I love Steph. They about to be gone, man. And, the new crop is coming up. So let's learn about them. Let's not all be finding out about these guys at the same time. There's plenty of good product out there. I think the problem is with the packaging. As you mentioned, you're only going to go so hard. And Jaren Jackson Jr. did a really good job of talking about this. He was like, okay, now what if a whole bunch of us get hurt? Which can easily, once you start really playing defense, you start really giving fouls. Okay, now where you at? Because if I'm Memphis, it's not worth it for me, right? I think we got to always remember this is about entertainment, and this is an exhibition entertainment game. So yes, I like to see the fun stuff, but I think it's okay to watch Steph Curry pull up from half court and drain a three and essentially putting that finals game away. Like, that was fun.
We see that during the year anyway.
Yeah, true. I mean, but he's a great player. Right. That's what you come to see. I don't necessarily need to see the most fundamental basketball. I want to see cats get loose, have some fun. I would like for it to be somewhat competitive in the last 5 minutes, but What my expectation is for fun, and everybody else is like they want this to be the best basketball experience they've ever had. And it's like if you want the best players playing the best, you got to look at the Olympics. This is not going to ever be that.
And that's why I said we're trying to fix the unfixable. If you go back, the heyday of the NBA All-Star Game, when it was the Michael, Magic, Ewing, Bird, like those games, for like 3 quarters. They were just, sort of going through the motions. And then all of a sudden you got to the 4th quarter and it came to winning time, and all of a sudden everybody buckled up. It's like the last 12 minutes of those games, that was high-level basketball where both teams were trying. I just feel like we haven't really had that. But I don't know that we're going to have that because it's about the mindset of the players, which is why I said that this was a bad weekend for the NBA All-Star Game to be going on because – for whatever reason, and I don't think the NHL can do this on a regular basis. You can't do Four Nations every year. It's not it's not going to have the same resonance with the players if you do it every year. Next year we're going to have an Olympic break. That's going to be off the charts.
Yeah.
Like if I'm the NBA, cancel the All-Star Game. Don't even have it. Send everybody to Cabo, let them play a game show, right? Don't even have it because the Olympic hockey is going to destroy everything because these guys, it means so much to them. We're going to get to the second half of the league in a second, but I want to spend a couple of seconds on the idea, which I said to you was a good idea. I did not mean to be surprised.
Wow.
Right? I didn't mean to express that.
What an idea, Brenden. Okay, all right, cool.
It was not my intent to express that I was surprised that you came up with a good idea. You posed, whether or not we could have early entries, and they can to an extent in the women's game. Can you leave college after a year and go to the WNBA? Right now, I believe there's an age limit of 22. You have to be 22. So
I think you can also, if your credits are, I think if you finish all of your college
if you've graduated.
if you graduated. Sorry, yeah.
So, like Juju Watkins does not qualify for that.
Right.
And I think it was basically after Watkins went for 38, 11, and 8 in the win over previously undefeated UCLA.
Right.
And I said my feeling is I wish they could. They should have that right. But it would probably be a financial mistake to go to the WNBA. No?
I don't think for players like Juju it would be, because when we talk about NIL, essentially what we're talking about is endorsement deals.
Right.
Those endorsements are going to follow from you. If she were to be like, hey, you know what? I'm about to go to the WNBA tomorrow. All of those endorsement deals and all of those relationships, business relationships she has would transfer. And I'd like to be able to see Juju go into the league right now and start playing against some of these stars that we see in the WNBA, because she's one of, if not the best player in college basketball.
Yep.
There are some logistical issues with, like, WNBA teams are hard capped. So, like, they don't have that they're not able to sign their first round pick. They don't have those exceptions where they can sign their first round pick regardless of where they are at paying on tax. And so, like, that's part of the push for the expansion teams, is so you can have just more roster spots, because routinely now you're having first round picks not be able to make team, not because they're not good enough, because they simply don't have the money, right? So like there's some logistical stuff that they're going to have to do, maybe put some more roster spots per team. You see the expansion, and just there are some financial things that they need to set in place before they can realistically even think about this. But it is something while I know that the college game would suffer, as the men have suffered in their college game, but from being able to leave so early, that's not enough of an issue to deny them the ability to go make that money.
I'm with you, and Juju Watkins is probably an outlier because last year she established herself as a star. But for the most part, these women who are amazing, like, I didn't realize Flau'jae Johnson was still playing.
Oh yeah. Just dropped an R&B album too, actually.
She did. Where did I see her be the musical guest at SNL a few weeks ago? Right?
Oh, maybe she might have. Yeah, she's been everywhere. Like she's played well and also been doing this thing, which is really impressive.
So these women are still building their brands, at the college level, and I think they can, make more money for the most part while staying in college, but also build a brand. And then when they hit the ground, when they become professionals, then they make more money. So I think these women are probably, at least until the rules change, they're going to stay where they are. Even if the rules do change, I think the better financial move is probably to stay where they are in college, because the college game right now is drawing more eyeballs than the pro game. Yeah. And until that changes, and it may, and that's fine, but until that changes, I think they're better off staying in college. But Juju Watkins is next, absolutely next level. By the way, Duke is at Notre Dame. I messed that up. I thought it was in Durham. Duke is at Notre Dame tonight, which is, I think, 11 versus 1 or something like that. Crazy.
It's going to be a good game.
Crazy basketball. All right, final thing. Give me a team that isn't, well, give me a team you like the most in the West and the team you like the most in the East.
Ooh. Man, it's hard for me not to at least put a question mark by the Lakers. We haven't seen what this team's going to look like when Luka and Connect and LeBron actually get enough time together. Right. Obviously, there's going to be some defensive issues in the front court. I still have issues with OKC.
Alex Len didn't solve the problems? Come on.
The ACC legend. No, he did not.
Big Ten legend. He's a Big Ten legend.
Wait, I thought he got 1 year. You know what? Maybe so.
Well,
it's been a minute. It's been a grip.
He was an ACC player, but Maryland's
he was during
now.
that transition.
Yeah.
Obviously, OKC has been phenomenal this year. They're getting Chet back, which while they didn't make any large acquisitions, it's like getting this huge star coming back to your team. The thing that did them in versus Dallas, I still have questions about with everything revolves around SGA. You have some guys, Williams can go get his own shots, but everybody kind of needs him to get going. If you can prevent him from getting into the paint and become this kind of heliocentric thing on offense, they can get real bogged down in some bad stuff. So I just have an eye on LA. I'm just saying,
okay.
I at least got to see them play. And then in the East, I thought Cleveland got better with picking up DeAndre Hunter. I thought they really improved their team. There was a reason that they wanted a bigger wing. It's because of those Boston Celtics. And they are just so multifaceted. They're a switch army knife at pretty much every single position. Man, that's hard to beat when they're so pliable, both malleable on both offense and defense, where they feel comfortable switching pretty much anything 1 through 4. And the shooting, I still got to go with the Celtics until I see something special out of either the Knicks or I just don't think I believe in Cleveland enough to think that they'll overtake them.
I'd love to see. I used to be a Knicks fan. I don't really have that emotional draw to it. I don't know that the Knicks can beat the best teams consistently enough, but if Mitchell Robinson can stay healthy, that's a big if.
It is. Like that's kind of always been the if with him. And look, he and Kat and Jalen and Josh Hart, one of my favorite players in the league.
He is my favorite player in the league.
And incredible, just does all the things that you want. He's an incredible rebounder, cutter, does what you need on that team in particular because they already have real offensive weapons.
Yeah.
I like the team a lot. That Celtics squad is terrifying when they're on.
No question. You are not terrifying, but you have a giant basketball brain. That's Brenden Whitted at HU Cosell on Twitter. Thanks, man. We'll do it again soon.
I hope so, man. Look forward to it.
You got it, Brenden Whitted. Yeah, it was a good idea. It was a good I'm fascinated by that, and I wish that the men's game could have a mechanism that would keep these players in school more, but give them the same opportunity. And I do believe that over time, we will see more players as more money is available to them, whether it's through the schools directly or through NIL opportunities, real NIL opportunities. I think you'll see more players stay. And that's good. That's good for the college game and good for the pro game. Because then the pro game, for those players who do improve to the point where they become professionals, are just a little bit further on in that development. But for the women's game right now, more people are watching women's basketball in college than they are the WNBA, even as that game is growing. more opportunities for them to earn money while staying in school. All right, we'll come back. We will rewind, and we'll give you an update on what's going on in Boston, Canada, Finland.
Score's already changed.
Not getting better for Finland. Next.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college, whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans. It all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Next time you see a man or woman in uniform, why not stop and thank them for their service to our country? And what about the nurse at the hospital or the cafeteria worker serving your plate? A smile and a word of thanks goes a long way. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a compliment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos.
It's for our guys tonight. We want to hear this multiple times.
They play Freebird when they score?
Yeah.
When USA scores?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is their celebration song.
I really wasn't paying attention. That's awesome. Keep scoring.
Trying to give the good mojo.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the U.S. to beat Sweden tonight because it won't matter to Sweden now.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to the United States before, but it will not matter to Sweden because they have been eliminated. Well, Canada hasn't officially won this game in regulation. It is 4-0. Nathan McKinnon has scored twice, Connor McDavid once, and Brayden Point the other. And it would be nice if Finland got on the board.
Yeah.
Finland's down to they're already onto their second goalie. Lankinen pulled UC Saros in. Doesn't matter. You can't pull their defense off the ice. And Finland, once they got behind and they had to stretch things out, I mean, Canada is basically just waiting for spots to pounce at this point.
I'm glad Mikko Rantanen got a goal, though, in the Saturday game.
He played very well in the Saturday game.
Yeah.
I thought Finland played very well in the Saturday game. Canada and the United States are at different levels. They just are. Different levels. Canada's speed was overwhelming today. The United States not quite as fast, but super physical. Incredibly physical. Cannot wait for Thursday night. All right, let's before we get into a rewind real quick. And we're going to get into this more tomorrow. And also on Wednesday when Chip Patterson is here. I have not mentioned, I guess I mentioned earlier, that the college football playoff is tinkering with expanding for this upcoming year. Whether they will or not, I don't know. And it might be ultimately that they're just going to do it for the next season, but they're already talking about 14, which, duh. I wish they would just, rather than just creep, just do 16 now. Rather than mess around with it, just do 16. It just gives you more games on campus. It's fine. The campus games were fun, right? Why don't we just get right to the fun? Because we're not really doing, it's not a better way of deciding a national champion. It's simply fun. Hey, and that's, if sell it for what it is. Man, these are fun. We know who the ultimate teams are going to be if it's seeded properly, which they didn't do this time, but they will probably figure that out in the future. So, but there's a negative side to what they're going to do. Because again, and I have, to me, and I know this is going to sound disparaging, and frankly it is, the golf media, the pro golf media, is as unwilling to criticize the sport of golf as the pro college football media. We revere the game so much that we don't, unless you're an independent, we don't criticize it when it deserves to be criticized. So there's a golf story out there we're not going to get into today that we will get into this week, I'm sure, about LIV and the PGA Tour coming back together. We'll get to that down the road. But right now, what's going to happen if we go to 14 teams is the SEC and the Big Ten are each going to be guaranteed 4 spots. The ACC and the Big 12 will be guaranteed 2 spots. A group of 5 team will be guaranteed a spot, which leaves in a 14-team field, if Notre Dame is good enough, we're done. We've assigned all 14 spots, which is dumb. Set that aside, because we'll talk about that with Chip Patterson on Wednesday. The college basketball tournament is also going to expand, whether it's now or not well, certainly wouldn't be for this year, but for next season or the season, it's going to happen because every NCAA tournament, every college championship tournament gets bigger. None of them get smaller. 0 of them get smaller. And we have more teams. So that's their justification. Chris Spatola, who, by the way, has had these conversations with us on this program, on right now, the tournament can't get any bigger.
Every team has an opportunity. You win your conference tournament, you are in. So ostensibly, the NCAA tournament starts the week prior. You got your chance. You win that tournament, you're in. NC State made the Final Four last year after winning its conference tournament. They would not have been in. So what are we talking about here? Like, what are we doing? You continue to marginalize the regular season by doing this.
All right, you do. You marginalize the regular season by doing this. Now, Spatola goes further, talking about the fact that the college game has not addressed the real problems facing the college game.
We have so many other issues with our schedule during the regular season. Nobody wants to address that. Nobody wants to get creative with how can we draw more eyeballs during the basketball regular season. What are we going to do with November and December? Now that football's being played into February, what are we going to do with January? Nobody wants to have that discussion. We're just going to continue to do what we've always done. But let's trash one of the most treasured playoff formats in all of sport by expanding it without any real rationale.
Right. So, and I know because I know Seth Davis, who we'll probably talk to in the next couple of weeks, and Mike DeCourcy have talked about it. We talk to Mike all the time. Like, Mike's dead against it. Seth's like, it's probably not that big a deal. Nobody loves it, but it's going to happen, and we'll all get over it. Seth's right. It's going to expand. We'll hate it because we hate when we get these things altered, but we'll get over it. Because ultimately, the tournament is great. Even if they're not making it better. Once again, they didn't make college they made college football bigger, and a lot more people had a chance to lose a playoff game. But at the same time, a lot more people had a chance to win a playoff game, and the home sites were great. So in that regard, they have made the college football maybe more fun. And that's good. That's okay. I'm still not for it, but I'm not against fun. I'm not for expanding the tournament. But there was at least a method for that madness. Basketball doesn't really provide that. We're not making it more fun. In some ways, you might be making it less fun. You're certainly making it bigger. It takes longer. Got to play those games somewhere. And we're not stopping at 76. No chance we're stopping at 76. And the issues that he pointed out with the schedule, he talked about with us a month ago, in that you've got all of your non-conference games, your good non-conference games basically, in November and December. Various tournaments that are early in the year, and then we get into conference play, and it's all conference play, but it gets lost throughout the month of January into February with football. How to create some of those games in the second half of the year to maybe just be more fun and really put your sport on the front page. I don't see that really changing. Duke does play Illinois this weekend, by the way, Saturday at Madison Square Garden. So that'll be fun. An interconference game between the Blue Devils and the Illini. I don't think Illinois is ranked, but they're good. That'll be a great test for Duke to go ahead and see if they can win out the season. Maybe, who cares what happens in the ACC tournament? But anyway, going forward. But those are the issues that are facing college basketball, not whether or not that 68 teams is enough. It's more than enough. All right, one more thing before we rewind. Micah Shrewsbury is Notre Dame's basketball coach. He took over a couple years ago when I do this Mike Bray. When Mike Bray retired as the Notre Dame basketball coach. And Bray's teams had kind of waned. He had the high water mark back in the middle of last decade, and then they kind of fell, slowly slid down. And now Notre Dame is near the bottom of the league. Right now, they are 15th in the ACC. It's not good. Micah Shrewsbury, and they just lost at home to Louisville last night by 15. And Shrewsbury went on a rant about lack of support from the home crowd and being positive he can turn it around.
Don't give up on these kids, man. I don't care about anybody's opinion. I know who I am. I know I can coach basketball, and I know I'm turning this program around. So you gave up on me already? I don't want to see you back here. I don't give a damn. Don't give up on these kids, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I sat there and watched more Louisville fans in here than Notre Dame people, and that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for me, because I'm the head coach here. And yes, I got us in this predicament. But don't come back when we're losing or when we're winning, because we're turning this around, man. You better believe that. Everybody that gave up on me, believe it. Write this date down and believe it, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I don't care if you gave up on me or not.
He was mad, knocked over a mic, and
Yes.
And left. He kind of worked his way into that. There's a lot of people don't think he can coach. I honestly, the people I talk to think he's going to be wonderful. It's been 2 years, maybe 3 years. Hasn't been a lot of time. Notre Dame's not the easiest place in the world to create a basketball environment. Back in the day, yes, Notre Dame still has that pull, more so in football than in basketball, but they could be good in basketball, and the league allows them the opportunity to do that. So if he's a good coach, he'll get it back. It's a tough place to recruit because it's an academic school too. This is where the ACC hurts itself sometimes. They care. They care about the college side of this, and I'm not saying that other leagues don't. The ACC maybe cares a little too much, if that's even possible. All right. We have time for a quick rewind. All right, let's stay in basketball. No, let's not. Let's go to football, and we'll try to squeeze in at least part of this Will Brinson, because I think the palace intrigue in the National Football League will be what happens in Kansas City with Travis Kelce. They could use a top wide receiver, and they could use about $17 million of cap space.
Yeah, so the thing with the Chiefs, specifically on Kelce, I mean, I don't know if you watched or listened to New Heights, like his podcast. I'm not sure if you heard. But listen to that, and it was, the Tuesday after the Super Bowl, I think, maybe even, the Tuesday after the Super Bowl. And, I mean, my thought was this guy is retiring.
Right.
Just listening to him. Now, that's 48 hours removed from, a devastating loss. He said it was the most confident he's ever been heading into a Super Bowl. He's played in a lot of them. They really believed they were going to win. I think a lot of us believed the Chiefs were going to win.
Sure.
And the other thing, too, is something he said, and I wrote about this for CBSSports.com, but something he said made me look it up, and I was really stunned. He has played 19 extra games since 2020. So if you're an NFL player who played 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, you can play a max of whatever, do the math on 16 and they switch to 17 for 3 years, whatever it is. He's played an extra 19 games. So that is a ton of football to tack on if you're his age. And he pointed out that it's not even the actual games; it's more like being in the building and grinding on game plans and grinding to be ready, and just the grind. He made it.
All right, so that's Will Brinson. More of that, by the way, in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. You can get wherever you get your podcast later on, or just watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/Adam Gold /Adam Gold Show. Hard to believe, right? And maybe the beginning of that, where Will talks about Kelsey sounding like somebody who may retire. I don't think that decision is going to happen, anytime soon. But pretty soon, Kansas City needs to know if they've got an additional $17 million in cap room. So my guess is less than a month, right? Maybe by middle March, we'll find out. And I guess that's pretty much less than a month since we are just beyond the middle point of February. But he doesn't look like the same player, and Kansas City could use that cap space back. All right, we'll do this all over again tomorrow. Good luck to the Blue Devils tonight and to Team USA over Sweden. Victoria, thank you very much. I am Adam Gold. We'll see everybody tomorrow on the Adam Gold Show.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports.